All right, welcome back. Well, my video is rendering that I just did for the Andrew Marinan and Child Bride readings um, at 46% right now over here, so I can't load it. I'm going to do some reading of Elvis and June in the Twilight of Memory. I believe truly that Elvis loved June and June loved Elvis. I do think that career got in the way and June's pride. Can't blame her. I can't blame her. I can't even imagine having to be put kind of on the back burner for months at a time. You can't have a healthy relationship like that. And I think June knew that, which is why she broke up with Elvis at the train station, which y'all know because I released a video on that. But probably get a little bit more in details in the book here. So let's continue reading where we left off. I looked at Elvis and he just smiled. He hadn't mentioned anything to me about telling his parents. Okay, we're talking about getting married at some point in time. Hey, and by the way, before I continue this, thank you to your members. Thank you to your subscribers. Brand new and old. I think there was 10,000 new people that watched the channel this month. Please hit subscribe. I guess I don't ask for that much, almost ever. I appreciate the super thanks that you leave me. That helps the channel, helps me buy books, helps buy coffee, I guess, you know. All right, so Elvis had told Gladys about wanting to marry June. Or perhaps Gladys said, hey, you should marry her. And Elvis was like, hey, Mama, I think that'd be good too. You know, after my career started, you know. I don't know exactly how it went down. Elvis didn't tell me anything, June. Okay, I can tell it's getting serious just by the way you two lovebirds have been looking at each other all day long. I've never seen my boy so taken with a girl. You two are planning to get married one of these days, aren't you? Okay, she asked, directing her question to Elvis. One of these days, Mama. Not too soon. I got my career. I got to get it going good first. Hey, I knew it. I hadn't even read that section yet. Good guess, right? Y'all probably guessed the same thing. You better not let Colonel Parker know how serious you are about June. You know how he feels, especially about marriage. I know, Mama. He don't even like it when I see a girl more than once, but don't worry. When the time comes, I'll handle the Colonel. Now, Elvis said that, wholly unaware that Colonel would not only control his career, but also his personal life, and would dictate when, where, and to whom Elvis would finally wed. Even June. No wonder Priscilla didn't like June. She liked Dixie better. Became friends with Dixie Locke. June herself said that Elvis was forced to marry Priscilla, that Elvis didn't want to. Right there. Wholly unaware that the Colonel would not only control his career, but also his personal life, and would dictate when, where, and to whom Elvis would finally wed. Well, I hope you two make it, June. If I had to choose a wife for my son, it would be you, Mrs. Presley said, putting both hands on my shoulders again. Thank you, that's the nicest compliment I've ever had. I turned in my seat and hugged her neck. I knew she liked me from the very first time we met, but to choose me for her daughter-in-law, especially this early in the game, was overwhelming. Now, if I could just get you to call me something besides Mrs. Presley, she said again. Now, I'd known a girl named Gladys when I was in school, and the name didn't carry enough respect for Elvis's kind, soft, loving-spoken mother. Soft-spoken, loving mother. I remembered her telling me her full name and decided her middle name, Love, was the only name that would fit her perfectly. Will it be okay if I just call you Lovey, Miss Presley? I like that, June. I like it a lot. It sounds kind of special, she said, leaning back in her seat and smiling. All day long, Elvis and I had been sitting on opposite sides of the car like an old married couple. I hated being so far away from him, but I was concerned about his mother's opinion of me. I was a respectable young lady, capable of controlling my emotions. Now, she was used to seeing ladies, young and old, hanging all over Elvis. I didn't want to be put in the same category, but when Elvis put his arm across the back of my seat and motioned for me to sit next to him, I didn't hesitate. Oh, this is where you belong, baby. Elvis said, pulling me even closer. Now I looked over my shoulder, smiling at Lovey, and she smiled back and gave me a wink. When we got back to Biloxi, Elvis deliberately passed the street to my house. Now I didn't mind. It was too early to go home. Your mother knows you're in good hands, June. You can call her when we get to Gulf Hills. See, this is my last night here, and I want you with me. Now, when we got to Gulf Hills, Elvis stopped at the hotel long enough for me to run inside and call my mother. I told her we were back in town and that I would be staying with the Presleys for a while. Now, I had no idea I was going to spend the night. The villa had 4 private bedrooms, 2 on each side of the central living area. The boys were staying on one side, and Elvis had the room next to his parents. We sat around the living area talking until everybody was ready for bed. I was assuming Elvis was going to take me home after we all said our goodbyes, but instead he took me by the hand and led me to his room. Now, I had wanted to be alone with him all day, so I had no objections. With very little effort, Elvis convinced me to stay the night. We had both been perspiring on and off for most of the day, and after a few salty kisses, we decided to take a shower, but not together. We were not yet that brave. Elvis loaned me a t-shirt and a pair of his Fruit of the Loom briefs. I showered first and was almost asleep when he crawled in next to me. After a few kisses later, we fell asleep in each other's arms. Now, Elvis was still sleeping soundly when I woke up early the next morning. I unzipped his black leather shaving kit and borrowed his toothbrush. I had just finished scrubbing my teeth when he stuck his head around the corner. You're not through yet. You got to brush mine too, he said, and I put more toothpaste on the brush and stuck it in his mouth. Now, this does not jive with Elvis's fear of germs and the way he held a cup and stuff like that. That, wasn't it Priscilla that said that? So they shared a toothbrush. I was doing a terrible job there, standing there facing him, so I got behind him and brushed his teeth as if it were my own mouth. Now, I thought I was doing a good job until he gagged. I gathered my clothes up as he finished the brushing himself, but Elvis had other ideas. It's too early to get up, baby. Everybody's still sleeping. So he said. He pulled me back to bed. He started tickling me and put his hand over my mouth several times because I was making too much noise. We started kissing, and all of a sudden the laughing stopped. I had, almost without realizing it, let all my defenses down. But after all, I was going to be his wife someday, so I raised my hips, making it easy for him to remove my borrowed briefs. Evidently, he was feeling the same way as me. Ooh, it's getting a little steamy and spicy here. All the other times when we've been in this situation, I had stopped him, or he had stopped himself, saying he wanted it to be special. He said he wanted to wait until we were married, so did I, but this time our passion for each other had taken us too far, pushed us both out of control. Now, we had made love in our own special way every time we were together, but this time was the first time we actually came close to physically doing the deed. Elvis was slowly and gently beginning to, oh my goodness, oh my word. Page 160. So, was beginning to knock, knock, knock on that door. When we heard a tap, tap, tap at the door. Okay, that's not what you said, but that's what I'm putting. I was so startled I felt my heart had stopped. He rolled off me and sat straight up on the bed. Who is it? Elvis yelled, and after making sure I was covered, the unlocked door opened twice, and it was Lovey. Oh, what in the world? What perfect or imperfect timing does a mother have? Okay, that's a little strange, the timing of that. What do y'all think? Whew, my face is probably 2 shades more red now. I didn't think they even ever gotten close. And I didn't think we had made love in our own special way, which is the same thing, in a sense, that Priscilla had claimed. Their own ways of not completing the act, or whatever. Um, didn't realize it had gone that far with June. I heard all the laughing in here, and then I didn't hear anything but quiet. I knew she was listening, ear up against the wall. Oh my goodness. Gladys. Maybe not ear up against the wall, but probably. Although walls were thin back then, right? I heard all the laughing in here, and then I didn't hear anything but quiet. I just wanted to tell you that maybe we should get June something to keep her from having too many babies, Levy said, and smiled at us both, but also being very serious. Don't worry about June, Mama. She's a virgin, and she's going to stay that way till we get married. Elvis looked like a little boy caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Well, I was just making sure you two didn't do anything that you might be sorry for later. Y'all get your... How old was Elvis here? Come on, he's not 12 years old. He's not 13. He's not 16. Elvis was... This was 1956. Elvis was 21 years old. June was 18. Y'all get dressed. Your daddy wants you to go have breakfast. Oh, and maybe you should check under your bed for grease. I don't know what that is. Elvis. She laughed, closing the door. Gris. Gris. Tell me what that is. Oh, the video's done rendering over there. I can load it right now. Okay, I'm just gonna tap load real quick while we take a short little break here. I got another 10 minutes or so to read, and then I've got to load my son up and take him to the doctor's. He might be getting his stitches out. Hey, if y'all wouldn't mind, I've got a YouTube channel that I'm going to put in the description of this. It's called Anthem and Arrow Media. It's one of my businesses, and I do music videos for businesses and for other artists. And I'm just beginning to kind of launch that business. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be amazing. If you can remember, even a 10th of y'all that watch this video, that'd be great. Okay, so loading the video up.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Joe Sands, Variables Photos.
All right, let's just get that started. All right. Sounds like my wife's getting my son dressed up there. Okay, back to the reading here. Man, that was she's a good writer. Had me right there in the moment. Okay, we dressed quickly and joined Elvis's waiting parents. The four of us walked outside to find several cars parked in front of the villa. Barbara Lawrence, the social director at Gulf Hills, was the first one out of her car. She ran as fast as she could over to Elvis and me. Some members of the press were here to interview Elvis. June, you don't have to answer any questions. I'll handle it, Barbara said, completely out of breath. The very first question was not for Elvis, however, but directed at me. Did you spend the night with Mr. Presley, Miss Wanico? One reporter asked with raised brows. No, I didn't spend the night with Mr. Presley. Mrs. Presley spent the night with Mr. Presley, I answered, raising my eyebrows too. Miss Wanico has her own private room next to Mr. and Mrs. Presley, Barbara answered, trying not to laugh. Elvis and I just smiled at each other and kept walking to the car with his mom and dad following close behind. We stopped long enough for Elvis to say he was leaving for Florida that same afternoon. If you don't mind, I'd like to spend some time with my parents. Thank you, Elvis said politely. Lubby couldn't believe all the reporters gathered in front of the villa. She wanted to know if this sort of thing happened all the time, and so early in the morning. Well, I haven't been bothered at all until today, so it must be your pink Cadillac, Mama, Elvis said, kissing her cheek. We drove the short distance to the hotel to have breakfast. Evidently, the press got Elvis's message, and they left us alone. Now, Elvis always got a little uptight when the press was around and started fidgeting with his menu. After the waitress took our order, Lubby took Elvis's hand and held it in both of hers while she talked to him. Have you been getting enough rest, son? Are you eating right? I know how you are. I'm doing fine, Mama. Don't you worry your little head about me. I'm going to be just fine, I promise. It's just a nerve of some of these cuss word reporters. That's all. She sweetened his coffee and buttered his biscuits. It was obvious that he was the most important thing in her life, even more so than her husband. Elvis thrived on his mother's attention and was constantly making her feel needed and appreciated. He would never just say thank you to her without touching her hand or face. Her presence alone seemed to have a calming effect on him. Several articles written after his death referred to Elvis as a wimp or a mama's boy tied to her apron strings. Nothing could have been further from the truth. Elvis was a devoted, loving son trying to make up for the hardships that his parents had suffered in their lives. And if this makes a man a wimp, then the world should be full of wimps. I cheer that, June. Thank you so much. Kind of what I said in the last video, how Baz Luhrmann made Elvis look like a wimp. Very weak. I didn't like that movie. And I don't think you did either, although you didn't write that. I mean, you didn't write that in 2022. You wrote it in 1997 or whatever it was. Or maybe 87 or... When was this book written? $1997. Yep. We drove back to the villa, and I waited by the car with Lovey while Elvis and his dad went in to get their luggage. I noticed how he can't keep still, June. Make him slow down a little bit if you can. Her voice was filled with concern. I'll try, Lovey. I'll do my best, I reassured her. I know you will, June. Now, Lovey's eyes were brimming with tears when she hugged and kissed her son goodbye. Sharing him with the rest of the world wasn't easy. Take care of yourself, Daddy, and take good care of Mama, Elvis said, giving his dad a bear hug. As his parents drove away, he kept his eyes on the pink Cadillac until it was out of sight. Elvis and the boys were leaving that same afternoon. He had to be in Miami on the Colonel's orders the day before his first show. I went back into the villa long enough to help him pack his clothes. Now, he had 2 suitcases, one with neatly folded clothes and the other for dirty clothes only. I picked up the undershirt and underwear I'd slept in, and I was going to put them in with the dirty clothes, but he snatched the briefs from my hand and put them in the clean suitcase. I'll wear these for my first show. Hopefully it'll bring me better luck than they did this morning, he added, with a sheepish grin. Slightly embarrassed, I was grinning too. I wasn't exactly sure how I felt about what had almost happened. He didn't have much to say when he was driving me home. I assumed he was preoccupied with his Florida tour, and we both got out on his side of the car and just stood there for a moment. He took my face in his hands, kissed me tenderly, and got back in the car. Be careful on the road, and I'll see you in a few days. Whoops, I just made June sound like Elvis. That was June. She said, be careful on the road, and I'll see you in a few days. I said, breaking the silence. And then Elvis said, I really don't want to go, June. I want to stay here forever, just you and me. Well, that brings us up to chapter 19, so I'm going to stop right there. I like this book. I like most Elvis books because we get to go back in the moment. It's 2025, folks. Elvis passed in 77. Elvis came out like a rocket in 56. 54, 55, but like a rocket in 56. And it's 2025. He was born 1935, 90 years ago. But yet, when we read a book like this, and there's going to be fewer and fewer and fewer, as folks that knew Elvis and were intimate with Elvis or around Elvis pass away. And unfortunately, not all the books have been positive stuff. Some of the books have been written with the help of guys like Steve Dunleavy. My opinion, scum. You know, maybe there was a lot more positive, good stuff that Red and Sonny and Dave put in there, but he sure didn't put any. And we're never gonna know because not another book wasn't written. Well, the Elvis, the Memphis Mafia, I think that was part of them as well with Billy Smith, which I've got that book. I haven't read it either. I've seen excerpts from it. But this is a nice portrait of Elvis. young Elvis. So thank you, June. Thank you for sticking with me, y'all. And let's continue to honor and protect Elvis, and also understand that he was just a man. He was as I told Lewis from Defending Elvis in a message the other day, or maybe it was today. He was just a man like him or I, just more talented and better looking. And a lot more rich. But we all have our faults. You know, I wrote a gospel song yesterday. I'll as part of what I do for a business. There's a business that's called Truth and Nails. They teach a lot of people skills, you know, working with your hands, welding, steelworking, carpentry. So I wrote a song, and I was driving out to the country here in Tennessee for my work, and I was writing the lyrics for it. And then in my mind, I was preaching a sermon to a congregation about really forgiving one another, not judging one another, trying as much as you can to recognize that whatever fault you find in somebody else, if you've got that fault on your side, maybe be less harsh. Maybe you could still ask for reconciliation. I'm trying to figure out where I was even going with that. But Elvis was just a man, like everybody else. Elvis made a lot of big mistakes. He hurt people. He did. Everybody's going to do that, okay? He wasn't good at saying sorry. Suppose he never did. Tried to make up for it in his actions. That was the day and time. The prideful Marlboro man, the tough guy sort of a thing. That's taught. Was taught back then. And so I guess when I was writing that Christian song, I was kind of thinking about that. I was just thinking about, you know, God the Father. You know, if those of you believe in that, or whatever. If we are a direct reflection of God, men and women, then He is like us in every way, including the feminine women's side, men's side. You know, but that God doesn't expect us not to make mistakes. He expects us to try to do a little better each day. You know, and anyhow, kind of got off a train of thought there, but it's nice to see a portrait of Elvis from somebody that loved him, that saw the good in him, and that didn't classify him as being a mama's boy, as a wimp, but as respectful and loving and caring. All right, well, thanks for sticking around for another video. Thank you, members, subscribers. Super thanks that you leave me. Subscribe if you're brand new to these videos, and leave me comments. And I thank you. I thank every one of you for every second you spend on this. MITTE, if you make it to the end. Thank you so much. Till next time, Joe Sins, Rare Photos. No.